Hello guys and welcome to this Ollie's on the Ball round 9 tips video. Last week I had a good week in tips, not so good in Ollie's Call, 9 out of 9 tips, that's pretty good. 3 out of 9 Ollie's Call, I was a bit unlucky, like Sarong had 24 and I had him for 25 and Cameron and Hawkins had kicked 4 goals between them and not 5. Anyway, this week's a new week and let's get into it. The first game, Richmond-Geelong at the MCG on the Friday night. This is the first of 2 Friday night games. Because of the second one, it's a bit earlier, which I don't mind, I don't think. It should be about 7:20 every Friday. They do it for Saturdays and they do it for Thursdays, so why not Fridays? Richmond, much needed win last week over West Coast. They're 2-1-5, sitting in 15th. Geelong, they beat Adelaide. A little bit of a late scare, but in the end they got over the line by 26 points. They're sitting in 6th with 5 wins in a row. This I don't think will be a close game. It's hard to tip against Geelong. I'm tipping Geelong by 57, with my Ollie's call being that Richmond trail by 10 or more points at quarter time. Moving on to the second Friday night game. At Optus, 8:45pm Friday. I don't know what the TV numbers will be for this game. Not very high, you wouldn't think. West Coast, they lost. They put up a fight in the first 2.5 quarters, and they were in front for over half of the first half, but then Richmond just ran over them in the late third quarter and continued in the fourth. Gold Coast, they had a loss, as in, it wasn't a bad loss, but it was a loss. So they're sitting 3-5, which is okay, and they put up a good fight against Melbourne, only losing by 6 points in the end, so it's going to be interesting. West Coast at home, but I'm tipping Gold Coast by 13, with my Ollie's call being that Matt Rao and Noah Anderson combined for 45 plus disposals. Moving on to the SCG 1:45pm Saturday. My tip is Sydney probably, given Sydney coming off some good form. Well, no, not good form, but they've actually got worse form than Freo. But it's at the SCG, it's hard to tip against. Freo have had the easier run. They've played Hawthorn, and Hawthorn are playing everyone. Every team's beating Hawthorn. Sydney, they've had a couple of tough games, but it's hard to not tip Sydney. I'm tipping Sydney by 15, with my Ollie's call that Errol Goulden has 20 plus disposals. Moving on to the 2:10 Saturday game. I'm going to this game, given it's in my hometown of Hobart. North Melbourne, Port Adelaide. North Melbourne, not looking too good. They've had 6 losses in a row now, which is not very promising. Port Adelaide, they've had 5 wins in a row, so 2 sides coming off different form. Good win over Essendon. They should have won by more. They're looking good though, so it's hard to tip against Port Adelaide. I'm tipping Port by 61, with my Ollie's call that Connor Rozee, Zach Butters and Jason Horne-Francis combined for 60 plus disposals. Moving on to the 4:35 game at the MCG. Hawthorn, Melbourne. Hawthorn, 18th, coming off another smashing to Freo in the West, 1-7. Two sides are 1-7, them in West Coast. Probably battling it out for the wooden spoon. It's not looking good for them. Melbourne, on the other hand, they're really playing well. Tight win over Gold Coast. Gold Coast threw everything at them, but they managed to hold on. And they've had great last quarters so far this year. It's hard to tip against Melbourne, I think. I'm tipping them by 74 on a big win. With my Ollie's call that Clayton Oliver has 25 plus disposals. Moving on to the night games. Brisbane Essendon 7:25 at the Gabba on Saturday night. My tip would have to be Brisbane. They're sitting fourth, 6-2, coming off a couple of wins. They haven't played the toughest of sides with wins over North Melbourne and GWS and Freo and a few other sides. Well, Carlton, that wasn't pretty good win, but a few other not so good sides. Essendon, on the other hand, they had a great start to the season and they've lost their last three, sitting 4-4 in ninth. Yeah, as I said earlier, I have to tip Brisbane, with my Ollie's call being that Dylan Shield and Darcy Parish combined for 40 plus disposals. Moving on to the second Saturday night game. I reckon this is game of the round. Carlton Western Bulldogs, 8th, 7th and 8th, and that's about where they should be, really. Carlton, coming off a loss to Brisbane, if they lose this, their finals chances are out the window nearly. And it's a disaster for them if they don't make finals. So, if they lose, it's Michael Voss's job is probably nearly on the line. Western Bulldogs, 3 wins in a row, going well. I have to tip them, tipping them by 11, with my Ollie's call that Marcus Bontempelli has 20 plus disposals and a goal or more. Moving on, this is also a contender for game of the round, but who knows? Adelaide Oval, 1:10 p.m. Sunday, Adelaide St Kilda. Adelaide sitting lower on the ladder considerably, but they've had a few tough losses, as in they lost to Geelong in Geelong. They're playing quite well, and it's in Adelaide. It's hard to see them lose in Adelaide. And St Kilda, very, very scrappy win in a terrible game over North Melbourne. They're sitting 6-2. Good start in third, but if they win this, that would prove something. But I can't go past Adelaide. I'm tipping Adelaide by 17 with my Ollie's call that St Kilda kick 5 more behinds than goals. Moving on to the last game of the round. GWS and Collingwood. This is going to be a sort of close game because it's Collingwood and they can't lose in a not close game. But I'm tipping Collingwood by 31. Collingwood, 7-1, they're first, only team to have 7 wins so far this year. GWS put up a fight against the Bulldogs but got overrun. Looks like they're going to come back, but it's hard to see them lose. I'm tipping Collingwood by 31, as I stated earlier, and my Ollie's call that Tom Green has 20 plus disposals. Thanks for watching Ollie's on the Ball. Hope to see you next week.